Yep. It says we're recording. I'll bring my guest up here in just a second. It has been, look at me. I'm not a professional. My phone starts dinging right when I start recording. Look at that. That's ridiculous. Uh, but okay, it's okay. I don't claim to be the professional. I'm just a podcast guy. This guy that I'm bringing up, he's the professional. We'll talk about podcasting. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about family. He's been gracious enough to be on with me. I think this is his third or fourth time over the last 3 or 4 years. I think he was podcasting well before I was. As a matter of fact, that's going to be my first question. I'm just going to bring it. I'm going to take this down. I'm going to bring him up. His name is Erik Allen. He's a jack of all trades. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's up, Erik? How you doing today, buddy?
Hey, brother. How are you, man? Such an honor to be back on your show, dude. Yeah, this is my, I think, third time on your show, man, and truly an honor to have you in my circle, call you a friend, dude. You're an amazing man and amazing at what you do, man. So it's truly an honor to be back on the show.
I appreciate that. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's get straight to it. How long you been podcasting, man? I think you've podcasted longer than I have.
I started podcasting in 2017.
Dude, wait, I think we started the same year.
Okay, nice, man.
2017, 20, I can't remember because this is either my 7th or 8th year. I can't remember, but I've got a number of podcasts going now.
Yeah.
But that's how I met you, through podcasts. I saw your podcast, saw a bunch of videos, and I am a big believer, and you can fill me in on this, and I'll let you tell everybody kind of what you do. But I don't think you don't dance unless you ask somebody to dance.
Yeah.
So I didn't know hardly anybody. I just started asking a bunch of people to be guests. And it's amazing how gracious the podcast community can be sometimes, and be like, I'd love to come on your podcast.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the podcast world, that people think, well, it's oversaturated. There's too many people. I don't want to launch a podcast. And they couldn't be more wrong.
Yeah.
There is millions and millions of podcasts out there. Yes. But the last stat that I just read was 90% of podcasts quit at episode 7. Like crazy. If you want to be successful in podcasting, just don't quit, man.
That's it. I told somebody a long time ago when I was in sales, because you and I were talking about sales before we came and started recording.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be, if you're good at sales, it's a lot of elements, right? You got to know where your basics are. You got to be consistent, all these different things. Yes. You got to know how to handle objections, whatever. But a lot of times, depending on what company you're in, success by attrition. People just leave. And then all of a sudden they hand you the accounts. If you're halfway decent, all of a sudden I'm a genius. It's because Bob and Suzanne left,
Right. Totally, man.
That's the way it goes. Man. All right. So last time we talked, you had been in a gig for about 4 or 5 years. Around your birthday, Christmas this year, time change, life changes.
Yeah.
You've got some good stuff on the horizon, but I want to say this, and you tell everybody what you're doing. You are posting right now so much content to YouTube. And I even said that to you. It seems like you've just gone all chips in the middle of the table. What is the strategy around that, real quick? And don't give away your secrets, but tell me, where'd that come from, and is it working?
Yeah, one thing I really wanted to focus on this year in 2024 was building up my YouTube channel. So I released my podcast to my YouTube channel. I release 3 to 5 shorts from every episode to my channel. But this year, I really wanted to up my game. I want to hit that 1,000 subscribers on there by the end of this month. My goal is to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Ooh. And I'm going to just continue to put out content. Listening to some other folks I've seen online, they said, look, you got to go out and you put out content every day for 90 days straight. Like that was a thing. Do it 90 days in a row. Well, for me, I want to kind of 10x that. And so I've been really focusing on putting at least 3 pieces of content out every single day for the next 90 days. That's my goal. I'm going live in the morning. I'm reading a book called The Maxwell Daily Reader. It's just for me reading it. But I thought, if I'm reading this book, maybe someone else wants to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so I've been doing these lives. They're only like 2 minutes long, but I'm jumping on and reading that book and then closing the door, and then we'll start it back up tomorrow. But really my focus right now is to just build up my YouTube. I'm starting to see some traction, starting to get more content, comments, more engagement, and starting to get more subscribers. And really, I really want to monetize YouTube by the end of this year. That's my goal is to have enough viewership, have enough subscribers where I can start making a little bit of decent cash from the YouTube side of things.
What kind of content are you posting? I mean, I watch it, so I know, but tell the folks that are listening or watching this, if they go to your channel, what should they expect? And by the way, your link is right there. If people want to do it, it's at Erik Allen Media, and they can just click on it and go.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. So
Yeah.
what I'm posting on a daily basis is I usually will post one quote that I found interesting to myself. I'll post that first thing in the morning. I'll do my Maxwell Daily Reader, which again, that's like a 2-minute live that I do, but then it goes back onto my playlist. And then at least 3 times a day, I'm posting a previous clip from an episode that I did. No more than 60 seconds, but it's something that impacted myself, that impacted my listeners. And I thought, man, if I can reutilize this, it's probably a clip that's at least 90 days old, but I'm resurfacing that up to try to get those new subscribers to go, hey, yeah, there's some good stuff on this channel. And so I'm releasing some old episode clips along with some newer ones, and then the daily Maxwell, and then of course my daily quote. But yeah, really pushing that stuff right now.
Is it around business and life? Or did you find, or are you kind of like me? Or are you eclectic and just, if you talk to interesting people, it goes where it goes?
I do talk to interesting people where it goes.
Mhm.
I am intrigued by the story, the comeback story. Like, where did they come from? Like, what did they have to go through to get to where they're at today? And
Yeah.
a lot of the clips focus on some tactical stuff about being the best dad or best parent that you can do, to here's how you can improve your business or sales mindset, right? So it's all different clips that I pulled out over the last year and resurfacing those, and hopefully they'll make an impact.
I got a guess for you. I think we've actually exchanged guest ideas with each other over the last few years. There's a guy that I've had on several times that, and I don't think you've had him on. His name is Jason Smith. Have
Huh.
you? He is a wounded veteran, young guy. Now he helps. He had both his legs and part of his hands blown off in Afghanistan.
Wow.
And now he helps veterans, but he just came back from the Invictus Games, which is the handicap version of the Olympics. All the countries send their wounded warriors to compete in Olympic type of events. And he
Wow.
just won 3 or 4 gold medals for the United States. And he is a fantastic story of how to navigate just what most people look at and go, well, how do you move forward after that? And
Yeah.
here he is now with a family and a farm and is representing his country in games. So if you're ever interested in a new guest like that, he's just a badass, man. You'd love him.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah,
I'd love to.
that's right up your alley as far as overcoming. Okay, so there's YouTube, your strategy behind it. By the way, how in tune are you with the algorithms of YouTube? I know you say you want to get to the monetization part of it. Do you know where the threshold is? Because I'm just not that up on it. And part of this question too is, how long do you spend editing? I Dude, I try to put stuff on YouTube and it takes me so long.
Yeah.
I don't have the bandwidth.
You and I, we chatted about this a little bit earlier. I utilize AI to make all my clips. So,
You're touching the devil with that. Stop it. It's sorcery, it's witchcraft. You're contributing to the future movie that we're all in. But now continue on, sir, to tell me
totally.
how done.
Yeah, it does, man. It takes forever to do edits. The only show that I'm editing manually is my actual full-length show.
Oh.
I utilize a platform called video.ai where I'm uploading the full version of the interview in a 9:16 version. So the whole show in the size for Reels and Instagram. And I upload it to video. Video goes cool. And in about 2 minutes, it clips it down to 1-minute clips or less. And it gives me captions and templates. And that's what I use to upload.
What's it called again?
It's called Vidyo, VIDYO.ai. And I actually started working with these guys quite a while ago. I came across them sometime in the middle of last year, and they were just launching. And I said, man, you guys got a great platform. I'd love to see, do you guys have an affiliate program? And they got back to me surprisingly. And they said, hey, we don't, but here's 2 months free of our premium plan. Go get used to it. Go play with it. And so I did. And that really helped me to become a customer. I actually paid for the last 2 annual subscriptions with them. And it's been an awesome platform. I can use it, and it gives me the timestamp of those clips. And I literally pull that timestamp when I'm editing my full size and go, yep, there's the trailer I want, boom. And it cut my editing time in half.
So, okay, I'm fascinated. So when you upload this to the platform,
Yeah.
when you say it consolidates it down to a minute, right? Does it pick and choose? Do you actually it actually picks the parts that's.
Yeah, it does. It does 2 things.
Don't smile when you say it either. Stop smiling when you like it's that much smarter than us. Stop it.
No, it does a couple things. One, it does this thing called IntelliClip, where it literally will go through and it'll give you a rating of how what's the chance of it going viral? But then it also will say, okay, here's a bunch of clips that we pulled together that's in that same sort of maybe conversation that align. So it's like they might talk about this, but then another clip goes boom, and it's just like building on top of that. So it builds this like IntelliClip is what they call it.
Right.
And some of them, not all of them turn out right, but most of them turn out pretty good. So it does the IntelliClips, but then it also says, hey, here's 15 other clips that we saw that were really good. And I can edit those down. I can extend them out. I can change templates. I can change edits of the captions if I need to. I can add emojis. Super cool. And it's like $185 a year. And so I was like, dude, that's worth it for me to jump in and do that.
Well, it's saving you that kind of time. My fear is I would download a full video and it would be, we found nothing interesting in your clip. Please go to a different platform. That's
right.
That's my fear. Is it just, it's like, dude, we came up with 12 seconds of good stuff. Up your game, sir.
Yeah, you can use it for free. I think they allow 70 minutes or something like that for free each month. So I tested it out free on a couple of my reels to try it out to see if I actually liked it, but definitely would recommend that platform. It's been a great platform for me.
All right. I know you're focusing on YouTube, but I want to hear your personal opinion. If you could only have one platform, and I'm not even sure if the caveat is to monetize. The caveat is which one you get the most engagement with or enjoy the most. Is it Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok? Or is there one I haven't heard of that's out there now?
No, I love Instagram. I'm a big fan of Instagram. I get most of my engagement from Instagram. Most of my followers are on there. And so slowly building that up. I mean, I think I'm just over 4,100 or something like that. So it's not like I'm a 10 or $20,000 or, person follower. But here's the thing is these people that have 50, 60, 100, 200,000 followers. And then you look, they have like 3 posts. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense, bro. Like I've never paid for followers. I never paid for downloads on my show. Everything has been organic. I'm all about just really connecting with people. And so I respond to every DM, every comment, and growing the base that way. And I just don't believe in buying the downloads and buying the followers.
No, I don't either. And do you get hit up? I get hit up with that all the time. They're like, hey, we can add 20,000 followers in 72. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I know half that's going to be garbage.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you like social media? I mean, is that something, if there wasn't part of your profile, would you do it?
There's bits and pieces of each platform that I like. Like I like Facebook more for like a personal family sort of thing. I don't do a lot of like personal sharing outside of like who's in my actual direct network on there.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would be involved in social media if I had just an income flowing through from say podcasting or whatnot. But I know that it's so key to grow your brand. You've got to be on these platforms to be able to grow your brand, to be able to make sales, to make an impact. I get that. Yeah. If I could walk away from social media and go live in the mountains and have no internet, like I'd be all over it. Pay me $100,000 a year and I'll go do that. No problem. Right. Like I'd have to convince my wife to do that.
Are you the survivor? Could you do it? Or would you have to learn some skills?
I'm probably a mix of both. So I grew up going to the mountains quite a bit. I used to work with Grunt Style when they first launched. I was their first brand ambassador. And so they had sent me, their side company was called Alpha Outpost. It was a subscription box. And I worked with those guys for 3 years. So every month for 3 years, they sent me a box of tactical gear, knives, bear traps, survival stuff. I'm pretty stocked.
Oh my gosh. I'll tell you what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to find a company that wants to send me a year's worth of food, the dehydrated food, like the Army, the MEs. I want those that I can just keep. I'll do a year's worth of free subscription. I just want to make when it hits the fan, I want a good water filter and be able to feed my family for at least 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
I got the gun. I got the other stuff.
Yeah.
I can protect it.
Right.
All right. Yeah. I can take yours. One of the two. It's what my dad said when Y2K was happening back in 2000. I'm like, what happens if people just start walking up the street? And he goes, listen, man, all of a sudden, whatever they have becomes mine. And I'm like, that's a different mindset, Dad. He's a Vietnam. I mean, that's a different mindset, sir. So
I'll say this, like my wife and I, we've really been kind of focusing on not fear at all, but just being prepared, right? So like
absolutely.
we've been stocking up on food, we've been stocking up on water filters, the rehydration stuff, like all of that. Like we've got a good preparation. We got backpacks ready to go. Like
See, I need that.
we're ready to go,
We're different people. Do you know what I stocked up on after I saw how much we were just morons during COVID. So you know what I've got like a 4-month supply of toilet paper. By
Nice.
God, you're not going to out toilet paper me. I can tell you that right now. Because I
That's
saw all
awesome.
the idiots in the store and I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, everybody's got butts and you've got 4 buggies of toilet paper. I
Yeah.
don't want to kill you and take the toilet paper, but I'm going to take a roll of your toilet paper.
Totally.
God, jeez, you bunch of morons. Let it go. You're collecting actually really usable stuff and get to Clint's house. He's got all the toilet paper.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, real quick, something else you do that I've used once or twice. The only skill set I have that I think I could ever use on Fiverr is I've written commercials, radio and stuff for 25 years.
Yeah.
But I don't have the voice. I don't have the other skills. I did not know you really were on Fiverr that much until you started talking about it. Do you like Fiverr?
I do like Fiverr. I mean, I hate the 20% fee that they take from me, but
I
I
didn't
do
know
like
that's what they
Fiverr.
take because I'm not a supplier. I'm not a
Yeah,
creator.
20% is what us sellers have to give back to Fiverr. And what
Wow.
sucks too is if I'm the buyer and I'm going to tip the guy who created the thing for me, they're going to also tack on a service fee to a tip that I send. So if I want to tip a dude $15, they're going to charge me $3.50 on top of that. And it's just, they make a ton of money, but I actually do like Fiverr. It's been just a fun side hustle gig that I've had. Really, I just noticed I've been on there for 10 years and been on there as a seller. I do a lot of user generated content for brands. So there's some of their products. They want me to do a 30-second or 60-second commercial for them or an ad promo.
Now, do you write that or do they write it or both? Combination.
I asked them for a script or keywords that they want me to touch base on. And if they don't give me a script, I just kind of wing it off the keywords that they give me. Yeah. And I do very little revisions. I'm good enough where I can typically get it done in one shot. And I charge $100 per 30 seconds, man. And some people are like, oh, I would never do that. But I'm like, it's time out of my pocket to go and record that video and then go and edit it and send it to you. So, but I do enjoy it. I work with a lot of great brands. I have a lot of great like repeat customers. And plus it's always good to get free product and things like that when it's a cool product. So
I'll tell you what, if you think $100 for a good commercial, wait till you spend 30 on a really crappy one and you have to buy 7 of them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
always bad money until it's money you have to spend time and again to do it right the 5th time.
Yeah. And apparently they're working because I've had quite a few friends over the last 4 or 5 months email me screenshots from me seeing my video on TikTok or Amazon or Facebook saying, dude, I'm going to go get this holster now. Right. Like, so apparently they're working.
Are you on TikTok?
I am on TikTok. Yeah. But I don't get on there to view stuff like, cause I think I can go down this rabbit hole if I stay on there forever. So I literally post to it and that's about it. I don't get on there and scroll. I just schedule my videos to go out and then
all my friends tell me I should be on TikTok with my podcast. I just don't know what content I would provide. I'm just long form conversations. And I'm like, I'm not hey, look at me juggle chainsaws while I'm talking about, giraffes. I don't get what I would do. So
I'm just posting clips of the show. And it's not like I don't have that many followers, maybe 1,400 or something like that. But I'll do some lives sometime on there. Once you get 1,000 followers, you can go live. And so typically I'll turn my phone on when I'm doing a podcast and I might just have it live where they can hear my side of the podcast.
Yeah.
And I might gain 1 follower.
Are you, to be honest with me, are you dancing? Do you do the dances on TikTok? Do you do
only occasionally under an
do
anonymous
you really?
account? No, I'm just kidding. No.
Oh my gosh.
No dancing for me, man.
Oh, my daughter snuck one in on me like 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And I'm like, hey, what are we doing? She goes, oh, that was a TikTok dance. I'm like, don't you do, but I'm not on TikTok. So she could post whatever she wants. I wouldn't know. I have no clue.
I've never posted a dance video. No.
Stupid the China government has me doing TikTok. If that's what they really want, welcome to the new world order.
Right.
Clint doing some robot. Hello. Yeah. All right, cool. I didn't know about the Fiverr thing. All right, let's spend a little time. Does AI really not bother you a little bit? Are you just all in like, hey, we can't avoid it?
I think we can't avoid it, but it is a little bit on the scary side. And I think that there is, especially when I first kind of came across Chat GPT, gosh, a year and a half ago or whenever it really started to roll out. I was kind of freaked out. I was like, dude, I can put this in, it'll just spit it out. And I have kind of learned to utilize it when it comes to creating show notes, when it comes to generating possible questions I could ask my guests. It gives me good ideas.
Does it really? I mean, does it give you stuff that you wouldn't think about?
Totally. So I use it when and I don't use the questions off of there, but I use it as kind of an idea generator. So when I'm on Chat GPT, I will take the URL for my guest website. I'll take his social media links. I'll throw it into Chat GPT and I say, I'm interviewing this guy. I want to focus on these 3 things. What are great questions that I could ask them? Wow. And it'll spit out 10 or 15 and I'll go, hey, that's a pretty good one. I'm going to put my own twist on it. So it just gives me some ideas. I do use AI to write my show notes because it's SEO friendly. I use it to generate hashtags that are trending. So I use it to kind of build a business, but it is scary. There are some things in there I'm like, I wouldn't want it to automatically be sending emails for me or automatically be doing other things for me. I use it just really as a Google that talks back almost.
I think the thing that terrifies me the most, I do a podcast actually today with my buddy Jeff Stiles, and we talked about the images it can generate, and it can put basically Clint Powell anywhere in the world doing anything, whether I was there or not.
Yeah.
And I'm all of a sudden like, that is horrifying to think that somebody could go, hey, dude, is this you doing this? And I'm like, no, but I can't disprove it because it's a picture that's floating on the internet.
Right. Very, very scary stuff with image generation. The whole deep fake thing is crazy. Stealing your voice. I mean, now it's like there's a couple of different AI sites where I can just give it a 2-minute clip of me talking, and then it could use that voice, my voice, to generate whatever videos. I could just type in, talk about this, right? So I mean, I saw examples of way extreme when it's like AI, someone's trying to scam a family. They'll grab someone's voice off of a YouTube video.
I saw that.
Right. Use it
with a girl, like they'll say, Mom, I've been kidnapped. And it's the girl, your daughter's voice. And you think it's real.
Totally.
Yeah. God bless her, because I'm sending family at that point. I ain't sending money. I got family that's coming. So
right. Yeah. I think there is definitely a fine line of being able to use it for good. And there's a big chance of a lot of people are using it for the wrong way, I think, in my opinion.
But again, if it gets that bad, we just go in the mountains.
Totally.
We'll just follow you to the mountains.
Yeah.
And you're in the anomaly of where you live. You're the red state. You represent some conservative values out there in the state you live in. I've got family members that left there and moved to Alabama back to where their family's from. But I won't mention where you're from because that's not my job to tell everybody. But you do live in a pretty good red state.
I do like living up here. We are being invaded. I'll say that for sure, especially where I'm at. There's a lot of people from California moving up. There's a lot of people from other states coming up here. If you are local in this area, you cannot buy a home because people from out of state in California are coming in and paying cash, and the housing market up here is jacked up, man.
Yeah. That's the way it is in Tennessee too.
And maybe that's nationwide, but it's definitely an area where I think there's still red state roots, but there's a lot of blue stuff coming in, and that doesn't fly very well for the locals here for sure.
Well, and in my world, you got to have a good blue and a good red. The problem with it is, at least in Clint's opinion, is when the red and the blue start demonizing the other ones as you're not American, but if you don't agree with me, that's where I've lived next to liberals my whole life, and I've lived next to people that are more conservative me than my whole life. And we always got along because we were neighbors, and that's just what you kind of agreed, that we don't have to agree on everything. Now, it's like, who'd you vote for? Oh, well, I can't like you. When the hell did that start? I mean,
I know, right? And it's like, for me, like with us having a Christian faith, like I am very much like probably the least judgmental guy. Like I know, like I joke about a bunch of people moving up here, but I could care less if you identify as a toaster. Like I don't care. If you're not hurting yourself or hurting someone else, then identify as whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny, you run into people that, up here where I live, and I'll be like, oh, where are you guys from? They're like, oh, we just moved up here from California. And then they'll go, but we're the good kind. And I'm like,
I get that.
you don't need to say that. Like, that's cool, man. Just be a cool person. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. As long as you're not mad at me for putting the flag out in my yard, I won't be
Yeah.
mad at you for putting something else in your yard. As long as it's not down with America, then we'll be fine, you know?
Totally.
Yeah. I don't mind you not even liking me. Just don't
Right.
be mean to me as I'm out at the mailbox.
Yep. Totally,
Hey,
man.
you are speaking at an event that I know a lot of my listeners probably won't be able to attend. It's in March, but tell everybody what it is. And then the reason I'm bringing it up is I want to talk to you about what you're going to be talking about. I find it pretty intriguing.
Yeah. So it's an event called the Conscious Investor Growth Summit. And it's March 7th through the 10th. It's out here, and you can go check it out on my website. There's a link. But if you use the code Erik, you'll get 50% off your tickets. But go check it out. It's going to be an awesome event. It's 4 days long. The first night is really just more dinner, but there's 20 plus speakers, and we're going to be talking about health, wealth, and mindset. And I am going to be speaking on 25 minutes on mindset, and I'm super excited to talk. Right now, I think they're only planning to sell 150 tickets, so it's going to go quick for sure. I don't know where it's at right now, but I know that it will sell out for sure.
All right. So the mindset component. Now, first of all, how'd you get the gig? Second of all, is that something you've done before, or is this kind of something you've done but in a new venue as far as speaking in front of people like that? Tell me a little bit about it. I found it pretty unique, man. Pretty cool.
Power of podcasting. I interviewed a guy named Kelly Cardenas, who introduced me to a guy named Tony, who then introduced me to a gal named Julie, who lives about 2 hours north of me. And she was on my show. I was on her show. And last year she was going to do this event called the Conscious Investor Growth Day. And it just so happened to fall on my anniversary date. She asked me to come speak. I couldn't do it because I would have been in the doghouse forever.
Yeah.
So I just said, hey, you know what? I can't do it this year.
Yeah.
I just kind of let it be. She wanted me to come talk this year. She reached out to me about 2 months ago and said, Erik, I remembered when your anniversary was at. I'd love for you to come speak at my event. It's not on your anniversary. I need you to come talk for 25 minutes. Would you be up for it? And I was like, heck yeah, let's do it. And so this will definitely be the longest talk I've done in a public setting. Now I've been training myself. Like, I love being behind the mic. It's awesome. I'm comfortable behind the mic, but I haven't done a lot of public speaking. So about 6 months ago, I stepped into Toastmasters to get better at public speaking and understand, how do I do stage presence? How do I evaluate somebody when they're up on stage? How can I get better? So I've been doing that. I've been practicing parts of that speech through that, and it's going good. I love it. I actually just started connecting with a speaker coach yesterday that I'm going to be working with for the next month and a half to really nail down my talk. But super excited to go talk about mindset and be able to just speak some life into people, hopefully, and make an impact.
Is this mindset around life in general, specific around business, or have you got to that point yet? Or is it, how narrow is the topic of mindset then?
So really, I'm going to be talking about my story a little bit, but also be talking about a no quit mentality, right? So one of the things that I talk about in that speech, two different things actually, is one, the band Arrested Development. They wrote a song called Tennessee way back in the day. And the name of that album was 3 years, 5 months, and 2 days in the life of. The reason they named their album that was because that's how long it took them to get a record deal. Like, they didn't quit. They just kept going. And so I'm really getting into that mindset of having that 3 years, 5 months, and 2 days in life of mindset, right? No matter what you're going for, it might not happen when you want it, but you just have to keep going. You can't quit, right? And we can't listen to the naysayers and the haters. You know, if we look back in the Bible and we read about Noah gets told by God to build this boat in the middle of the desert. And there's probably people there were trying to talk him out of his purpose. Like, man, don't do that. That's crazy. There's no flood coming. And he was like, I'm building this thing. God told me to build this thing. And, you know, they said, like, oh, you're crazy, you're doing this. But God didn't tell him, you know, to bring his coworkers, to bring his friends, to bring his in-laws. Right. What God said was, bring your wife, their sons, and their wives. That's it. So he like narrowed down his vision and said, I'm listening to God. I'm going to build this boat. And he didn't listen to the people who were trying to talk him out of his purpose. And so that's really what I'm getting into on 25 minutes of, hey, stay focused. Don't quit. fight for your purpose, fight for your goals and your dreams, and have that 3 years, 5 months, and 2 days in the life of mentality.
Excuse me. I'm getting over the flu. I had the flu last week, so my cough would just come out of nowhere. So I apologize.
No, it's all good, man.
Well, just real quick on that though, it's also a fine line because I do sales and business coaching for about 12 clients, and
Yeah.
I love that mentality, but you've also, in my opinion, at least got to juxtapose that next to being humble to take criticism and feedback on your dream. One of the things I wrote down when you were asking, now that you started Toastmasters and getting a little critique, is that hard for you to take? Ego, it's easy for me to preach somebody on a 3-minute podcast. We got to have our ego in check. And then I'm getting coached as the older guy. That sometimes can be a little challenging.
Totally. I think there's a big difference between critical critiquing that is going to help you get better versus like a hatred, right? Or a jealousy, right? And you do need to be humbled when you are like fighting for your goals and dreams, right? You have to be open to feedback. And that's what I love about Toastmasters is when I mess up, or if I go to give a speech and I'm like all over the stage and I'm wandering over, like that feedback that you get instantly right afterwards, I take that with heart, man.
It comes from a good place. You trust the people, right?
Totally. Like, I'm like, man, they know what they're doing. They've been doing this for 10 years. I get like they're professional speakers, or these guys are, a couple levels ahead of me. They're giving me good feedback about my pacing, lip smacks, right? Saying, all that stuff. I take that with so much. I'm like, dude, they know what they're doing. I'm new to this thing. I want to just learn and sponge off of them. And so I do think that you definitely have to have this as you're fighting for your goals, dreams, and purpose. You have to be open and expect that people are going to say things to you, but the people that you trust, take that feedback, right? Take that feedback and go, man, they're ahead of me in the game. I need to start doing what they're doing, right? Or I could tweak this, right?
Yeah,
be humbled in that.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference, though, is trusting the people where they're coming from. Like a good coach, everybody's like, well, you got to be willing to be coached. I'm like, yeah, but most of the time, a good coach has earned the trust of his players. So even if they're yelling at you, it's not coming at it from a place of hate. This person's wanting me to be better for the team.
Yeah.
So you've got to trust the people that are giving you the feedback. And if you ain't trusting them, then it becomes critical. And you're like, I don't really trust you. I don't know why you're so invested in telling me I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Side note, man, I've had a guest. He's been on 3 or 4 times. JJ Boogie. You ought to get him on your podcast. He's the guitarist for Arrested Development.
Come on, dude.
JJ Boogie, man. They're in Japan right now. He's a great dude, man. He's one of the coolest cats on the planet. He was just on with me about 8 months ago, and I think he's going to come back on again. I think sometime in April or May, I hope.
Man, that would be cool to introduce me to him. I would love to have him on the show. Here's a funny thing. Arrested Development, that CD was the very first CD that I ever got. I was in like early middle school. My dad bought that CD for me. I memorized that whole CD. I still have it today. And I actually got to speak to the lead singer of Arrested Development.
That's how he got into
podcast.
It. Oh, did you really?
When I first started, I reached out to him and I was like, dude, I saw you doing this project. I'd love to chat with you. He was the coolest dude ever, man. I got to chat with him for about that journey and about a project he was doing on. Like, I'm a big fan of Arrested Development, man.
Well, so that's how him and Speech are good friends. And he was playing at the church, and that's how they needed a bass. Let's go back forever ago. They were like, hey, man, we need a bass player. And so tell me this isn't one of the coolest looking cats of all time, dude. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. He's just, look at this. Look at this guy right here and tell me he just doesn't scream cool, dude. Look at that beard.
Come on, man. Oh, that's awesome.
You don't get any cooler than JJ Boogie, man. So I met him through another fellow podcaster named Monica Perez.
Okay.
Who has a massive national podcast. She's out in California. She's a libertarian. She does a political podcast. She gets 20, 30,000 downloads or more every episode. She's a big podcaster. But I met her. He was chiming in on a live podcast we did because he's in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And she used to do radio in Atlanta. So all of a sudden, I'm like, who is JJ Boogie? And I looked him up and I'm like, dude, got to get you on the podcast. He's like, I'd love to come on the podcast. I was like, holy crap. What a great, again, that little podcast community, right?
And I think so many people get into podcasting and they go, well, that guy would never be on my show, or that girl would never be on my show. And here's the thing is they probably don't get asked as much as we think they do.
That's right.
And if we reach out and we're like, hey, can I pick your brain for 30 minutes? They're going to be like, hell no. But if I reach out and go, man, I saw you just released this book, or you have this tour, or you have this event coming up, I want to help you promote that. then they're gonna be like, yeah, dude, I want to come talk on your show about that. Right? That's the best way to promote, to get people on the show. Talk about them. It's not about you. It's about like how much value can you bring them.
I had I think I may have shared this story with you, but I think it's great for podcasters out there everywhere and for people who just, to your don't give up mindset, right?
Yeah.
I had Diamond Dallas Page on like 6 months after he was on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And did I tell you this story? If I did, it's not worth
No,
it saying. So the guy that handles him lives out in California. And I got a message afterwards. It went great. I could not believe, I love Diamond Dallas Page. I'm a wrestler fan from way back. He does DDP yoga now. Anyway, so about 2 days later, I sent a message saying, hey, man, I really appreciate you setting that up. I hope he enjoyed it. He goes, it was fantastic. He really had fun. I hooked him up with another buddy of mine named Tom Rowland, who was on, all this stuff. Anyway, he said, are you curious on why I got DDP on your podcast? And I go, well, I figured I'm a little small. He goes, yeah, normally they were doing podcasts. I mean, they just did the Joe Rogan. If you don't have 100,000 downloads, probably, whatever.
Yeah.
He goes, dude, every month you sent me a request for months. See, I have a list of people that the first of every month, I just send the same people for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And eventually it wears him down. He was like, dude, I finally just said, I got to get this guy on the podcast so this man will quit emailing me on a monthly basis. And I was like,
that's huge, man.
Wore you down, baby. Wore you down.
Dude, I at the beginning of every year, I write a podcast wish list.
Ooh.
And I go through that wish list. And my goal is to get 50% of them on my show throughout the year. Some of them are unicorn guys. Some of them are folks that I meet throughout the year.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm very, very focused on just getting that list on. So when people reach out and they go, hey, I want to be a guest on your show, I have to take a step back and go, is this someone that's reaching out to me that wants to genuinely be on my show, or are they just looking for free marketing?
Yeah.
And so what I implemented about 2 years ago is I have a fee for inbound requests to be on my show.
Ooh.
And that has paid me substantially since I launched that over the last couple of years. I do about once every 2 or 3 months, I'll get a paid guest that reaches out to me. I'll say, hey, I can't do it because I've got a target list I'm going for, but if you want to jump on my show, I charge a fee of $500.
That's fantastic. I love that.
And some of them will go, well, I would never pay that. Okay, cool. And then I got the guys who are like, dude, where'd I sign? And I send them the invoice. It's paid. We get them booked. We're done. I'm like, cool. And here's the thing is I also approach it like, hey, if you're inbound and you pay, your show's going to jump the line. So I might have a month and a half or 2 month wait, but if they pay, I'm jumping them within 2 weeks. Their show's going to drop. I give them all the material. They can have raw and edited video. They can have it all. Like also, they can use it however they want. So they definitely take a priority, but I'm so focused on my target list that if I just take every inbound request,
you never have time.
I never have time. So I'm like, dude, if you want to be on my show, that's great. But unless there's like this connection where I really want him on the show, then I'm going to charge the $500, man.
Are you finding yourself now to where people are starting to reach out and saying, hey, I know I see the post where you're helping people do podcasts.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that becoming more prevalent? And do you charge for that part of it? Or you just help facilitate and introduce people to other podcasters?
So a couple things. I do have some free resources on my website. So I've got like a free ebook, or not a free, it's an ebook that I wrote, $7, and it really goes into detail about how to launch that podcast, right? It's like probably 50 pages or something like that. I also have a PDF version of a course that's $27 that walks you through exactly where to go, what to do, how to book the big names, etc. And then I've got a pre-recorded self-paced video course that runs for $497, but it again walks you through everything. And then with that $497, you get a month of sponsorship on my podcast. So I'm going to promote that brand, promote that podcast on my podcast for a month. And then I do one-on-one coaching. So if they want me working on one-on-one with them, then obviously that's a little bit of a higher fee, but we get on and we do that. And so I have a lot of different options, but I have some free resources as well. But I am starting to see this increase as podcasts start to get more popular. People want to know how to launch it. And so I just try to collaborate and partner with as many cool companies that I can. And I'm just actually starting up a partnership with a company called Storypreneur, where they'll go and they'll book you on high top level podcasts that are ranked in the top 5% or higher. So if someone's trying to get their show booked or their brand booked, like on big shows, I'm going to refer them to these guys. They're going to go get them booked on the big shows.
Oh, that's man. You got a lot of irons in the fire, dude. I love that. I love. I like somebody that hustles, especially around their strengths.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And again, you're learning it. You've learned it better than I have. You having the more places you can have some revenue coming in, then the more insurance you have against life changes sometimes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see if I had another question. Asking for help. We talked about how much TikTok sucks.
Totally.
For Clint, I just threw that in there like you're agreeing with it. We talked about how awesome Clint is. No, wait a minute, dude. You're just throwing stuff in here now. That seems ridiculous.
You are awesome.
Yeah. Hey, what's next for you, man? What and just tell everybody. And I know it's on the YouTube thing down here, but how can people find out more and what's going on in your world that people can tune into?
Man, a couple things going on. My first draft of my book has been edited. It is being just looked over by my wife. We're gonna have that out hopefully by the summer. I'm gonna be working with an awesome dude to have that published. And so as soon as that's secure, I can release that publishing company. But we're in the works to get that published, man. And so hopefully by the summer we'll have a brand new my first book out that will go into my story. It'll go into mindset. It'll go into some podcasting. It'll talk directly to men on how to step up their game as a husband and a father, and really excited to release this thing. So that's kind of been in the works for a while. And then the other thing, man, is I'm getting ready to launch my own life insurance agency. So I'm looking for rock stars that want to come and change their career and start selling insurance and impacting people, because I've seen both the good and the bad from life insurance, where my grandpa didn't have insurance, but when he died, my grandma had to move, right? So like that type of stuff. And then I've seen stuff, people get blessed by it because they did have life insurance at play where the funeral was paid for, right? They didn't leave their family in debt. And so I'm looking to impact people, but I'm looking to build this all-star, rock star team of agents that can come on board. And so that's really what I'm focusing on this year moving forward, man.
Yeah, when you're 20, you don't think about life insurance. Hell, 20-year-olds,
Totally.
listen to me. You're going to need life insurance at some point in time. When you're 30, 35 and start having kids, you're like, probably need to think about it. And so, yeah, I started smiling because I kept thinking, I talked to my kids about this, and they're like, whatever, Dad. I'm 24. I'm like, yeah, never mind. You're fine.
Yeah.
Go get disability insurance. You'll be okay. Hey, have you got a title of the book yet, or is that under wraps?
The initial title of the book is You're One Choice Away.
I like it. Okay.
And the reason I say that is because we're all one choice away from changing our life forever. Meaning we all have a past. We can't control what has happened to us. We can't control what has been done to us, but we can control how we react and what actions we take afterwards. We get to choose what our future looks like.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to step into that. And once we realize that our past and other people's opinions of us doesn't define our future, that's when we get to choose to make a difference. That's when we get to choose to make an impact.
I love the title, man. Last question I have for you. Are you a binge watcher? Do you binge watch TV stuff?
I am really bad about watching TV and movies. I typically will fall asleep within the first 15, 20 minutes, unless it's really, really, really engaging for me. And it starts about 6 o'clock at night, not 8, because then I'll be falling asleep. But one show that I have been watching is when I work out and I'm on the elliptical. I like to have my iPad going, and I like to have a show while I'm on the elliptical. And so I've been watching the show Justified, and I'm like on the 6th season now, and I've got maybe 3 episodes left, and then it jumped to Justified City, which there was like a 8.
Is that a Netflix?
It was on FX.
Oh, okay.
And so it's on Hulu is where I'm watching it right now. But I like more of a Western type, cowboys type stuff, but this is kind of a cool sort of State Patrol, not State Patrol, U.S. Marshal type show.
I'm looking at it. I like that actor too. I don't know his name, but I liked him as an actor. Graham Yost. No, the Timothy Oliphant. That's it.
Yeah, and that's the one show I've been watching. Though I will say this last week, my family and I, during New Year's and Christmas, we came across a show called Primal Survivor. It's on Disney Plus, but it was on National Geographic. And there's a guy named Hazen Odell who's the host, and he does these 500-mile treks through the Amazon or through Africa like crazy. And so these videos are of his. It's a documentary of him traveling 500 miles on foot through all these crazy stuff, dealing with animals, bug bites, all this stuff. And we kind of got hooked. And so we've been watching that stuff a little bit.
It's fun to watch that in your air-controlled house where you don't have the bugs and the jaguars that are trying to eat you.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know if you're a binge watcher. I'm a Peaky Blinders and Last Kingdom thing, so I
Oh,
didn't
nice.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gotten back. I was never a binge watcher until COVID hit,
Okay.
and then COVID hit, and now, and real quick, can you imagine young people now if they had to go back? Because I'm older than you, but
Yeah.
it used to be that we would have TV shows that came out on a Tuesday, and you didn't get the next show until the next Tuesday.
Totally.
Happy Days came out on Tuesday, and then they would do To Be Continued, and we didn't have it till we had to wait.
My kids are 13 and 10, and we watched The Mandalorian, I think was the show that we watched when it was coming out. And there was another show that we were watching, but they had to wait for the next week for it to come out. And they're like, this is stupid. Why can't we just watch it? I'm like, dude, this is what we had to deal with. We had to go up and manually turn the channel on the TV.
Absolutely. Yeah, commercial breaks were just time to go pee and get a drink of water or something. We did, we didn't get fast forward through any of it. We had to sit and listen to it. Hey, Eric, man, I appreciate your time. You're super busy, and I wish you the best success of 2024. And I hope people go and subscribe to your YouTube channel. When your book comes out, man, send me some promo stuff. I'll put it out on my Facebook page, and then we'll just touch base throughout the year. If I can help you at all, man, let me know.
Man, I'm excited. And again, truly an honor to be on your show, dude. Your podcast, people need to be listening to it, man, because you have amazing guests. You have amazing conversations. You're impacting the world through your podcast, man. You're an absolute world changer. And I appreciate you. And I'm honored to call you friend, dude. Anything that I can ever do for you, just let me know, man.
Same here, man. Good success. Call me if I can help. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right. Bye, everybody.